Part of the process for auditing the property manager's performance each month is to go through and conduct some random audits. So what I'm looking to do now is I'm going to go through the series of templates that we've created, and there's about 14 or 15 different templates for either a department manager, maybe a team leader, to be able to go through and conduct an audit. So let's just have a look at 4.3. So it's the monthly audit, and this is when we're going to go through and audit the vacant property that's come on. So it's new business, new to the market, and it's a vacant property. So we've now just brought this property into the rent roll. So have a look through here. We've got our labels at the top. And the objective here is this is either, there's two things we could do here. We can either do it completely electronic through Trello, and in this scenario, this would be duplicated. So 4.3 would be duplicated and copied, the car to be copied into the operational board. And each month you might pull out, so for example, you've brought on another 20 new properties into the portfolio. You might randomly pull out 5 or 6, but my suggestion would be you could probably do this for every brand new property that's been brought in that's vacant. So there's a difference between a transfer of management. So there's another checklist where you've brought a brand new property in and it's a transfer of management. So there's an existing tenant. This is where you've brought the property in and it is vacant. Okay, so the concept here, same as all of the checklists, is tick off the checkbox when we go through here. Tick off the checkbox if it's been completed. If it's if it's not applicable, tick it off as well. Otherwise, leave it blank. And if it's not acceptable or it hasn't been completed, and any of the actions that are incomplete, then drag up to the property managers section in through to here. So let's just have a look through. I think we've got 51. So there's 51 actions. Now, if, for example, that action and that action and that action are incomplete, what we do is rather than getting the property manager to go through all 51, you just drag them up like so. So if that's incomplete, that would go into there as well. Okay, so any of the actions that are not complete, drag up, and then just make a note for the property manager. Use the @ sign. So when you're typing the @ sign, so if you're actually typing in a property manager's name, if they're linked through to the board, then what will happen is they will it'll actually come up into their emails, or if you've got the pro version, you can actually assign sign and due date, but most people use the free version, which doesn't have that. And as I said, dragging the version up. If you've got the printed version, and we'll go through that a little bit later, the checklist is inside of here. What you can do is you can print off the version and go through and then scan and either give it to the property manager or attach it and drag it into here. So let's just get stuck into this one. Okay, so what we're looking for, adding the property address, who the property manager is, the registered owner or company name. So really, really important that you're going through as part of your audit, you're going through and identifying that. So this is to make sure we're bringing on a property correctly and adding it into the portfolio. So the same principles apply when you're going through and doing an audit of your existing portfolio, but this is for a brand new property. What is the entity? Is it a private entity? Individual names. Is it in a company, a super fund? Has it been listed online as yet? So often what will happen here, you might list a property, say for example an off the plan property, and it might not be ready for another 2 or 3 months, but you've listed it today, still go through the audit process, just not advertised yet. The rental price, is it a new build or an existing property? And then of course who's audited the property and or the portfolio. Sorry, the property when it's been brought into the portfolio, and also the date. And again, dragging everything up that needs to come through here. So let's get stuck into the audit. So let's have a look initially at the property file, what's stored on the server. Now this is excluding, take away from what's sitting inside of Property Me, Tree or Console, your property trust software. This is really what you're storing. So if you have a look at through some of the other videos, we've got how to set up the file structure. So what should be sitting in there? So has the property been set up? Has the folder been set up correctly? So there's 4 structures. So new property, registered owner folder, current tenancy and previous tenancy. So you can find that further through the Trello boards. Has the information or the new appraisal documents been saved? Were they completed? Was it actually attached and incorporated in through to here? Really important that you're using the new business document to go through when they're going and doing the appraisal, because we can gather so much more information. Is there a key register on file? Um, uh, are there photographs? Now, this happens where you would go through as part of your listing appraisal. There should be photographs, and any of the attributes, finishes, and fixtures, and so forth would be really advantageous to bring those in. Particularly, one of those things in one of the photographs there should be if it's an owners corporation. There should be taking a photograph of the compliance plate. Who the owners corporation is. Just helps with finding the plan of subdivision. But at the same time, also, if there's boards, if you can put a board up, where's the best place for the board? But all of that is on the new listing booklet as well. Are there owners corporation rules? If it's applicable, if it's not applicable, then you just check it off. Not an issue. But what you might find is there might be owners corporation rules for a strata property, and the move-in guide is not attached there. So these are specific rules that are applicable to when the tenants when the renters can move in, when they can't move in, locking off lifts, bonds, that sort of stuff. So all of those sorts of things need to be incorporated into here. And again, we're trying to set the property up correctly at the beginning. All the information should be gathered at this point, so it makes it so much easier to both manage and ongoing management, and also more importantly to lease the property out. Any warranties or manuals that should be on file, if they were at the property, then bring those into the office, scan them, and then you've got them on file, particularly around any service warranties as well for air conditioning units, hot water systems, those sorts of things. Fixtures and fitting schedule, was there one of those? Now again, I've got the if applicable. If it's not, then just check them down. Any of the actions, if you've got a particular action, you might actually say, at Michael, and my name comes up. You're missing the owners corporation rules. Need to follow those up, and then you would drag that up as well. Okay, now specifically for the legal documentation. Is there a complete, and I mean complete, all pages? So if it's an Inspection Express document, it'll come through as one document. If it's a REIV document or another industry body document, then it'll be all pages. Is there a completed management authority on file, signed correctly, completed correctly? Is the authority enforceable? So if it's yes, 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 you're ticking these things through. Enter the date. So inside of here, you'd put in, whatever the date. So today's the 10th of September. So you'd write in 10th of September and the year. You'd put that in through to here. Is there proof of ownership on file? And does the proof of ownership match the authority? Is what we're looking for. Is there a completed level of service and fee schedule, because they're completely two complete different things. So fee schedule and level of service. Now the fee schedule, really, when we get down to the billing, that should be added into the property management software as well. Is the property owned in a trust or a super fund? If it is there a trust deed, ABN search, ASIC search? Have we got all of that? Do we know who the directors are? Yes. Is it in? If it is, then it's fine. Owner's instruction form. Have we got authority to sign on behalf of the owners? And so that's either in the authority or it's in the owner's instruction form. And bank details. Are the bank details? Often an owner will complete the document but won't send through the bank details as yet. They may have purchased a property, listed the property with you, may not have set up the account that they're setting up, particularly if it's a super fund, may not have set the account up, so it might be blank at this stage. So you just need to make a note that at a later stage we still have to follow these up. And this is what I mean. If they haven't been done just yet, then you would drag those up, and this file would stay live up until the stage where it's been completed. And if you're paying commissions on a new listing, you wouldn't be paying commissions until all of these are completed as well. Is there a written completed rental disclosure statement? Has it been added into the system? And are there any points that the owner has identified that need to be noted either in the for you as part of the advertising process, but also to be included into the rental agreement. So it might be, say, for example, that there's an embedded network, and if there's an embedded network, the owner's ticked yes, then that needs to be noted into the advertising. It also needs to be noted into the rental agreement. So what you're looking for is, has the owner answered yes to anything in there that needs to be identified? If it is, it's either created, if it's in Property Me, it's created as a label or a tag in Property Tree, but you want to make notes about this now, particularly if it's ongoing. It's going to impact all of the tenancies. Same thing for the minimum standards. Has the owner provided a minimum standard statement? If no, then it needs to be followed up. If it's yes and they've identified any of the points, then that needs to be identified into the property management software as well. Has the owner given authority to the agency for landlord's insurance? Yes, no. Are they paying for it themselves? Are they completely not going to? Are they avoiding paying for it? Are they managing it themselves? Do they have a policy? So where's that up to? Same thing for building insurance. Smoke detectors. Now, smoke detector inspections, is there written authority and who's going to be managing this moving forward? If it's a brand new property and it's vacant and it's not been leased before, it may not have had an inspection previously, particularly if it's an owner-occupier property that's now becoming an investment property. So in that scenario, what you'd be looking to do is get the authority and then initiate that straight away. Electrical inspections, carbon, gas and carbon monoxide, exactly the same. If there isn't a pool, then what we're looking for is, we just tick this off. What we're looking for here is there evidence of an authority that, and also who's going to be managing this moving forward. What you'd like to see is that the agency is managing it. So therefore, what you're going to do, if you're going to Property Me or Tree, you're setting this up as an ongoing task or a label or a reminder that they would be that the agency is going to be setting these up. And so probably at this stage they might be just sitting there as work orders, going to haven't been sent out yet, or sorry, hasn't been initiated, but you'd want to have those an indication of who's going to be managing this process. As I said, pools, you're just checkboxing this. In the marketing, now, is there a list of photographs, marketing photographs, ideally with your company logo sitting there, your watermark? But is there lifestyle photographs? Has the owner paid for photographs? And or you might be bringing this across from another agency. Did you get those when they came across, transfer of management from another agency? Did you get those, and are they sitting in the file? Are they sufficient? Are they appropriate? Does it represent the property? If there were photographs, if they were really old photographs, then you need to get them done again. But are there marketing photos sitting in on the file? You don't want to be in a situation where you're bringing on properties and not looking at this. Professional photographs for the listing. Is there a professional internet copy? Maybe a floor plan? Does the internet listing copy, so the text, does it reflect what the property is, and does it meet your minimum advertising standards? Really, really important. Is there because if you want to get this done right now, if the internet ad is not correct at the beginning, it'll just get rolled over in 12 months' time or the next letting period. So you want to get that done right. Floor plan, has that been used? And as I said, does the internet ad meet the minimum standards for the agency? And the Residential Tenancies Act as well. And have you been approved by the owner and authorised by the owner to install a for lease board? And again, this is really, really important. You want to be looking at for lease boards and or corflids. Now we're looking at the actual property management software. Have the property attributes been set up correctly? Okay, so what we're looking for, house, townhouse, apartment, 3-bed, 2-bath, cars, that sort of thing. Really, really important if you're using the property management software as a bulk uploader for your internet advertising, that's been done correctly. But at the same time, what you're looking for is, do you want to try and make sure that you've gone through and particularly also your labels. Are there labels correct? Depending on how well you use the labels for, particularly in Property Me, my recommendation is to use, we've got a full list of labels to use and create. There's over about 100 labels, but other documents approved, are they missing? Anything that's missing that's sitting inside of here? Has the ABN, ACN been set up if it's a company? Compliance reminders. Okay, so are we tracking the insurance? If so, then we need to set that up as a reminder. Is there a current landlord's insurance policy in place? Sometimes the owner will provide you a copy of that. Same with building insurance. And if they've given you authorization to go and initiate that, then you get that started straight away. And you'd make a note that the agency is managing it, where the policy is up to. So there's a lot of information that needs to be stored and set up in the beginning from the farm. Smoke detectors, exactly the same. Who's managing it? Is it expired? Is it current? Where's it up to? Has a work order been set in place? And do we have authorization to manage this on behalf of the owner? So the program, inspection, electrical, gas, exactly the same. If applicable, pool and spas, where are we up to with those as well? So what you're looking for, if the property was leased or it's actually available, is the property compliant with the smoke, gas, electrical and pool barrier safety requirements at the time of completing the search? It's either a yes or a no. If it's no, then you'd leave that blank. Then you need to figure out, how did we lease this, or why did we lease this while it wasn't compliant? Now, what you might have found is that you've authorised the smoke detector company, gas and electrical company to go out. We've started to lease the property and we've put a tenant in. So in that scenario, what you're looking for is you go back through and check the rental agreement to make sure that that was noted, that at the time of the rental agreement, there was a special condition added in that the property was non-compliant. Really, really important. Otherwise, there is breaches for the agency and breaches for the landlord for non-compliance. Did the property meet all the 14 minimum standards? If not, then no. Why? Again, same applicable process there. Check the rental agreement. Was it noted? If not, you can't just put a tenant into a property and then if it doesn't meet the minimum standards, just not notice or not inform the tenant, provide them notice. Was there any initial maintenance required before the initial tenancy? What you might have found is that during the listing process, as you've gone through the property, whoever's listed the property, they might have found that there might have been some carpet that needed to be replaced. There may be some electrical wiring, smoke detector inspections that smoke detectors installed. There might be a fence that needs to be fixed, whatever it may be. But all of that, was there a note? And prior to initial tenancy, you want to make sure that that's all figured out before and as part of that process, as part of the leasing process. Keys, have all the keys been set up correctly? Have they been provided? At least 3 sets of keys, potentially 4. 2 sets as a bare minimum for the renters, maybe 3 should really be provided, and then of course a full set for the office. Have the keys been set up correctly in the property management software? Is there a key register set up in the property management software? If that hasn't been, and are there photographs, particularly in Property Me, photographs in the gallery to make sure that they've been set up correctly? Okay, so now we're looking at the lease, and a lot of this information will be provided from the landlord's disclosure statement. So, are there any special conditions that need to be added into the rental agreement? And you'll be making these up as either labels, tags, and notes, some sort of indicator here that this would be ongoing for almost every one of these would be recurring. If not, at least for this particular lease. Okay, embedded network, I spoke about that. Do we have the details? And if it is an embedded network, do we have a copy on file of who the provider is, what the rates, tariffs, ABN, company name, all that sort of stuff? Because all of that needs to be provided in the rental agreement. Special conditions with regards to steam cleaning. If it was a brand new property, was there steam cleaning? Any copies of steam cleaning receipts, either professional cleaning and or carpet steam cleaning, and then they need to be attached to the condition report. Make a note of that in the rental conditions so that at the end of the tenancy, the renter needs to return the property exactly the same way, albeit fair wear and tear. The minimum standards, was there anything noted there? Any of the any points relating to the rental disclosure statement? Sorry, the same thing again there. And this really comes back down to, is the owner looking to sell? has there been any illegal activity? Was there a death in the property? All those sorts of things. Asbestos, any breaches to the owner's corporation that need to be noted, any disputes. I think it's item 10 of the Owners Corporation Act, but any of those sorts of things, and were the rules attached in there as well. Now we come to the accounts team. How has it been set up? How has the property been set up? And we're now auditing to make sure. Has the management agreement been set up correctly as per the authority? Particularly if there's been any incentives, maybe a month free, 2 months free, or something like that. You want to make sure that it's still been set up correctly, and otherwise it can be forgotten quite easily. Has the letting fee been set up correctly? Releasing fee, internet fee, listing fee, ticker, has all that been set up, been correctly? 4 lease boards, professional photos, any office keys, any charges inside of there, any of the ancillary fees, end of financial year fee, has all that been set up correctly? And if the agency's if the owners ask the agency to pay for any outgoings, has all that been set up? So we need to communicate back through to the Water Authority, Owners Corporation, land tax, insurances, those sorts of things. So they all been set up correctly. And last one is if the owner has noted on their owner's instruction form, has the owner noted any of their own trades? So it might be, for example, they've got a friend who's an electrician or a family member and they want us to use that particular trade. So what you're doing is you're going through this particular document, this particular checklist, and as I said, there's an electronic version as in Trello, and then of course we've got the printed version, which is identical. Here it's more of a tick and flick form all the way through. We can rebrand this into the individual agency's branding, but you would actually print this off and then scan it and then give it back through to the PM if that's what you wanted to do, and then scan it in. So the objective here is that you would go into here, you would write, insert the month. So it might be, for example, it might be September of 2021. We're auditing 10 properties, so it'd be one of, so you put one, property details, property manager's name, and the address would go in through to there. And then you would use that as part of your operational board. So hopefully that's given you a really good overview as to how to go through the audit process of auditing a brand new property into the portfolio. Best of luck with it.